More news out of Sheffield Wednesday. Is it finally some good news with reports coming out yesterday that, contrary to everybody's expectations, Danny Rohl is going to return and will be the Sheffield Wednesday manager next season. Let me know your immediate thoughts in the comments. I'll give you mine right here, right now. So this is Rob Statten of the BBC. There's not much meat on the bone. He says Rohl is, well, quote, is to return next season. But come on, he's the main Sheffield Wednesday correspondent at the BBC. I'm sure that's well sourced if he's gone with something that would be so significant at Sheffield Wednesday, where Danny Rohl has kind of been seen to be the glue that's held the thing together under Mr. Chansiri's watch. Obviously, he came in, it's like October of 2023, after Darren Moore had been fired, having got Wednesday promoted out of League One. Cisco Munoz was there for a cup of tea, didn't score hardly any points or win any games. Did he get 1 point, maybe? Something like that. Can't remember. Not important. Danny Rohl comes in, great escape, brilliant. And I guess there was a sense then from that point that this young German manager, continental, ticks all the boxes for people who want football managers to work for them in the Premier League or to get them into the Premier League, that maybe he might have ideas above, how can I be polite here, a middling championship club under very peculiar ownership in recent times. And again, last season, Wednesday finishing in the top half. I think they were exactly 12th, weren't they? Fact check me on that. And the idea being that, their kind of natural position in the order in terms of what's being spent and the support structures around Danny Rohl is that many other managers would probably have had them a fair amount lower in the table, maybe even in the bottom three. You don't know that. Reality doesn't exist. The reality that does exist, though, is that Danny Rohl has not been a happy bunny for a fair wee while. And I think it was March where Mr. Chansiri's latest, well, it's not his latest because there's been another two since, but another late payment of wages coming in. And it was kind of thought from that moment on, right, he's definitely out at the end of the season. That was the last straw. It happened again, actually, in May and June. I don't think these are late payments, but it says wages not paid in full. So the idea was that this hot up-and-coming manager was going to find his way out of Sheffield Wednesday, and frankly, with triple embargoes going on, just utter chaos at the club. There's even stuff pertaining to one of the stands possibly not being certificated to be opened in time for the new season. That if you took this jewel in the crown, this excellent young manager out, you were going to be throwing some poor manager into just the biggest hospital pass in the history of football. And it's almost like guarantee relegation immediately. So why return? Why the U-turn? And I think a lot of this maybe stems from this clause that is apparently in Danny Rohl's contract. I think this is the one smart business decision Mr. Chansiri's made in recent years, where we think there's a rather large amount of money needed to be paid by a club or a federation to get Danny Rohl out of Sheffield Wednesday. Fair play to Mr. Chansiri. If you've got an asset and somebody else wants to take them, add your protection in. I was speculating when I was talking about Marty Cifuentes and Leicester yesterday that probably the number one guaranteed person to get paid on time and not breach their contract and therefore let go of this big compensation payment you were due is probably Danny Rohl. I don't like it. If you sign a contract, everybody should be paid on time. But we know how the world works, guys. It's a cruel world out there. not, what's the George Orwell quote? Some animals are more equal than others. Is that right? I don't know. I'm not a literary buff. My missus is, but yeah. You would imagine Danny Rohl's at the head of the queue to be paid and not have his contract breached, basically, to hold on to that compensation. So it's seemingly been quite hard for Danny Rohl to get out of Sheffield Wednesday into another job. Only he can probably tell you, but I'm sure we're all speculating that if a nice offer had come along, that Danny Rohl wouldn't be making this decision to U-turn right now. And I've just written down, since sort of April time, where we had this fallout, Bristol City, Hull, Middlesbrough, Norwich, QPR, Sheffield United, okay, he was never going to go there, Southampton, Swansea, Watford, and West Brom have all hired new managers. And I mean, in there you've got Bristol City, who were in the playoffs. Borough would be, and Norwich will be looking at playoff pushes, wouldn't there? Sheffield United again, but look, it's a parachute team. Southampton is a parachute team as well. West Brom and Watford traditionally have been pushing. You would say there are opportunities better than he's been presented by Mr. Chansiri that have come up that they must have spoken to him. These guys, especially the parachute teams, they must have spoken to him, and it's been too complex. And the big one is Leicester City here, and I'm speculating, I'm putting 2 and 2 together and making 7 here. Is it a coincidence that we've had a double U-turn in the last couple of days, that all of a sudden Marti Cifuentes, who actually landed in the Championship at pretty much exactly the same time as Danny Rohl, did a great escape, not a great mistake, a great escape of his own at QPR, is now the front runner to be the Leicester manager, and Danny Rohl all of a sudden is going to be coming back to Sheffield Wednesday? Is it the case that maybe Leicester might have really wanted to do the Danny Rohl deal and it's been too difficult, and all of a sudden, within 24 hours, Marti Cifuentes is the front runner at Leicester, and Danny Rohl might be coming back to Sheffield Wednesday? Look, lies, damned lies and speculation there, but is that too much of a happy coincidence that all of that's happening, and maybe that the big gig that he perhaps wanted would have been Leicester City, and that doesn't appear to be happening? So that could be the reason that, you know, it's like, well, I've got to work and I'm contracted to this club and we haven't been able to do a deal to get me elsewhere, and it's July the 10th. I'd better go back. By the way, it's July the 10th. Many other clubs have been in for weeks now, and managers certainly have been in and working. So even with an excellent manager like Danny Rohl, who's been there for, you know, a couple of years now, coming up a couple of years, you're going to be way behind if you've given up to the 10th of July because of all this. And it's not like he's walking in the door today. I'm sure that this may still take a while and there may still be to-in and throw-in. The other reason why he could be returning is, are we closer than perhaps you or I know about a sale, a takeover? Is Mr. Chansiri finally getting out of Dodge? So they're under this triple embargo right now in terms of HMRC and EFL, and no players are going to be coming in. Apparently, a hotshot team of brokers with a track record of being able to sell football clubs has been brought in to kind of fast track a sale. And I mean, that's good news and bad news, isn't it? Because even though lots of us laughed at the irony of Mr. Chansiri saying, look, we need to do this properly and sell it to the right person. Not sure he's maybe the correct person to be saying that. But he still has a point, doesn't he? That you don't really want to rush these things and make a bad sale. Although I can understand Wednesday thinking at the moment, literally anybody. Sell it to anybody whose name isn't Mr. Chansiri, and they'll be happy and move on, and hopefully some of these embargoes could be lifted. Maybe there's something closer than we think. And sorry for making every video about my own club, Ipswich, but it's a good reference point that Ipswich had a takeover a couple of years ago, and seems amazing to say this given what's happened to Paul Cook and what's happened to Ipswich since. But Ipswich managed to get Paul Cook in at League One when he'd kind of done good jobs in the Championship before and managed to get to come down. And there was clearly some wink, wink, nudge, nudge from Paul Cook about what he'd been promised in terms of a takeover, and maybe something even written legally into his contract that, you know, you are guaranteed to be managing a club that will be subject to a takeover in X amount of time from these people. And if you're not, this happens, or whatever. But yeah, maybe there's movement in the background, positive enough that Danny Rohl feels confident to come back and can do something with Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is it good news for Sheffield Wednesday fans? I think it is. I get that there might be some Wednesday fans that potentially think Danny Rohl could have been a little more professional here, in that he is under contract and he should have been coming to work. But then there's massive mitigating factors, and you and I don't know the truth of what's been happening in the background. We do know it to be a fact that the monies haven't been paid on time. That's been reported by the EFL, and obviously the sanctions against the club and against Mr. Chansiri specifically. So yeah, I can see I might get some comments that might say that, but yeah, there's obviously big mitigating factors. Is it just that another job hasn't come up, or is there something bubbling under the surface in terms of a takeover about to happen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I sometimes get some kind of spiteful, juvenile comments of people saying, "Oh, I hope they go bust. I hope they die a horrible death or whatever." That's the minority. I remember getting one, like some refereeing decision had gone for Sheffield Wednesday 20 years ago, and this guy wanted them to go out of business because of that. It's like, all right, calm down. I think the majority of people just want a level playing field and no crazy owners running clubs into potential icebergs, which is the feeling. But free speech ahoy! Give your views in the comments, whatever you think on Danny Rohl's projected, potential, reported, rumoured, alleged return. Went Thesaurus mode there. Thesaurus, not Theosaurus. It sounds like a dinosaur, doesn't it? Thesaurus mode there. Easy for me to say. Danny Rohl coming back, possibly. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. A couple of videos out yesterday. What did we talk about yesterday? We talked about PSR. Take a look up there, and I don't know, maybe this is something that pertains to Mr. Chansiri, who gambled and may well still be gambling if it weren't for those lovely PSR recordings. Of course, Sheffield Wednesday, one of the flag bearers and the first teams to breach PSR. So check my chat on that and get your comments in on Danny Rohl.